Kyle, what was your first job?
Oh, my first job. That's a really good question.
First real job.
My first real job really is the library that I work at. I mean, I had odds and end jobs before that. Odds and end, many odds and one end. Yeah.
I like that. Odds and end job.
I mean, they all ended, so that was the one end.
But none of those were on the books jobs.
No, none of them were until I got the job at the library. And then, I worked my way up the ranks until I became Lord Librarian.
Lord Librarian, look at him and his debt.
Welcome to Butter No Parsnips. Every week on Butter No Parsnips, your hosts Emily Moyers and Kyle Imperator take you on an adventure through the weird, wacky, wonderful, and sometimes even wicked world of one wayside word. Strange characters, delightful bits, and general joyousness abound. Join them as they test each other's etymological expertise.
Hey everybody, welcome to Butter No Parsnips. I'm Kyle Imperator.
And I'm Emily Moyers. Kyle,
Emily.
I have a fun word. I have a fun word that you're going to find fun.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Kyle, your word today is Stevedore. Stevedore. Stevedore.
This is just what we all do with my dad. Steve, we adore him.
I wasn't going to say because I wasn't sure if Kyle wants his father's first name known.
Oh, sorry, Dad. I'm sorry I'm outing you on the podcast. He doesn't care. You don't care, right, Dad? Let me know if you care when you hear this.
He never reaches out.
He just never talks to me ever again, and I just have to know that it was because of this episode. Stevedore. Yeah. Okay. Stevedore, I've heard of this before.
Have you?
I have, and I'm trying to know the context. So, the door is a suffix.
It is.
The door is a suffix, and it does not relate to lobster thermidor, which is a meal that I can only imagine is made in a thermidor appliance. That's a good, useful one for my dad who sells appliances. He'll love that.
Oh boy, you're outing all kinds of information. Yeah. No, it is not related to thermidor. Can confirm.
We talked about, back on our episode about ABC-dery.
I wasn't sure if you were going to bring that up.
We talked about an old-timey tennis racket.
Yep.
I just can't remember what it was called.
I'll tell you, it was called a battledore.
A battledore.
And it is the same door suffix.
It's the same door suffix, but I cannot remember why it was called that for the life of me. And I want to say toreador, bullfighter.
You got it. Same
Oh
door.
my God, we're all on the same. So this is like my dad if he were a MMA fighter is a stevedore. I'm going to need a hint here, Emily.
That's fair. The hint I have for you is shipping.
Oh, stevedore is a stevedore, I don't know, like a sailor?
Really close.
Like a piersman?
Honestly,
a pier
Kyle,
worker?
I'm going to give it to you. Yeah, play the music. You got it. It's a dock worker. Yes, Kyle, a stevedore is a dock worker involved in loading and unloading cargo, or a supervisor of this kind of work.
I am desperate to know why Steve is the prefix here.
I bet you are, Kyle. Yeah, I'm curious if you have the same guess about the etymology that I did. How do you think we got to stevedore?
It has to be from Latin stevia. Stevia. Oh, does the sugar related to that?
No,
the non-sugar sugar?
Not. But you're guessing it's not actually related to Steve.
Oh wait, is it related to a name Steve?
No, it's not.
Oh yeah, no, okay.
Then you're wiser than I. I thought it might have been sort of like an average Joe, but average Steve.
It's the average Joe of the docking world was the average Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, could you imagine? Just one dock was we got a lot of Steves here.
Regular stevedore out there. Stevedore. It is, in fact, derived from the Spanish estibador and the Portuguese estivador, both of which have the same dockworker meaning as in English.
That's insane. So the door in toreador is not bullfighter. It's not fighter. It's like just a suffix meaning like who works the bulls.
We're going to talk about that suffix in a hot minute, but you were pretty much on the right track. I believe both of these words, estibador and estivador, originated in European Spanish and Portuguese, but are also used in dialects of Spanish and Portuguese in the Americas. Consequently, the word stevedore has been used in both British and American English from around the 18th century, but I believe it is more common in American English.
Yeah, it feels 18th century-y to me.
Like Age of Sail, you know?
I'm thinking of the Dutch, is what I'm thinking of.
Yes. I'm going to come back to that in just a sec.
Fantastic.
Both of these nouns are derived from verbs, the Spanish estibar and the Portuguese estivar, both meaning to load onto a ship. The Portuguese likely came through the Italian stivare, meaning to load or to stow, and ultimately all of these verbs derive from the Latin stipare, meaning to cram, stuff, or fill, or to crowd together or compress.
Is that also where we get stow from?
It is not. Stow is a Germanic word, not a Latinate word. But they are very near meanings. That Latin root, stipare, actually came to English much earlier than stevedore. The English verb steve, S-T-I-V-E or S-T-E-E-V-E, meaning to stow or cram, goes back to the 1200s in English.
Wow.
Yeah, that's an old word. And I think, as with a lot of Old English words, is still sometimes used in Scottish English.
Yeah. Yep.
Comes
Talked about that on the last episode.
It's an old-timey land.
So a stevedore is a crammer.
Yes. And when English first borrowed the word stevedore from Spanish and Portuguese, it sometimes appeared as stowador. S-T-O-W-A-D-O-R-E.
I like stowador.
Stowador is cute. And it was borrowed from English into Dutch as stuwador, employing the Dutch cognate of stow, stuwen.
Stuwador. That's fun.
Yeah. All of this utterly unrelated to the English name Stephen, or indeed the Spanish name Esteban, which is just the Spanish Stephen. Both of those derive from the Latin Stephanus, borrowed from the ancient Greek Stephanos. That name was formed from the Greek word Stephanos, meaning crown or garland, and gained popularity in Latin after the biblical martyr Stephanos. But in Greek, it goes back much further than the Bible.
Sure. Just as a word.
Just was a word and a name. But returning to those Spanish and Portuguese words, estivar and estibar, again, both of those are verbs meaning to load. Those verbs were formed into nouns with the addition of the agentive suffix door. Kyle, can you explain what an agentive suffix or an agent noun is?
Yeah, an agentive suffix is a suffix that takes a noun and applies it to a person, right? Or a thing?
Explain.
Let me rephrase that.
Yeah.
An agentive suffix is a suffix that takes an adjective. Let me explain. An agentive suffix is a suffix that takes a verb and makes it into a noun.
You got it.
It makes it into an agentive noun, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. I think it doesn't actually have to be a verb, but most of the time when we talk about it, it's a verb.
It can be like an adjective too. Right?
Or indeed another noun. So actually all of your statements that you started could have been correct, but the verb is the one I was looking for. It's basically when you tack a suffix onto a word and create a noun, meaning person or thing who does this.
Yeah.
Can you think of an example of an agentive suffix in English, Kyle?
ER.
Yeah.
For people is the big one, right?
Easily the most common one that we use in English. Yeah. A writer writes, a painter paints, a dishwasher washes dishes, a screwdriver drives in screws.
A man, too. M-A-N. Min. right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
We talked about that with Jean Burko Gleason when she was talking about the Wug test. One of the questions was like, this is a man who zibs. He is a blank. And we were like, he's a zibber. And she was like, no, little kids will say he's a zib man.
A zib man. Wow, I forgot about that. That's a good reference, Em.
Yeah. There are other ones. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't have to be like straightforward, like verb into noun. I think the defining factor is just that it creates a noun who is taking some action. So the suffix ear, E-E-R, like a puppeteer works with puppets. I-A-N can be one. A musician makes music. I-S-T can be one. A physicist studies physics.
These are all, so like when we're covering words on the podcast, 95% of the time, there are related words that are all just that word with all of those suffixes that we don't talk about because it's like, how many like types of people can we possibly mention here? Just use it, you know?
Because it's always like one guy here added this suffix, but this guy over here added a different suffix.
Yeah.
And this guy over here added yet a different one.
In the same way that we and children did differently to the zibs.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. This guy said zibber, this guy said zibman. So now the OED lists them both, but it's like, are they both worth talking? Did anybody else say zibber? But another common suffix that we use is OR, as seen in words like actor or donor or elevator. Sure. This suffix ultimately derives from the Latin agentive suffix TOR or ATOR, ater. You might see that in the Latin word for one who commands. Do you know that word, Kyle?
I'm sorry, I just need to go back a second. You said elevator?
Elevator. It is something that elevates.
That's how it's spelled. I'm sorry. Cut this. Go say what you just last said again.
Actually, Kyle, no, I'm glad that you say that because there are a lot of words that you will see like historically varyingly spelled with ER and OR, and it's because they're both agentive suffixes and they both make the same sound when you say them. So they do get mixed up a lot, and there are some words that like can varyingly be spelled both ways.
Sure.
So you're not alone.
Thank you.
So you might see the Latin agentive suffix ATOR in the Latin word for one who commands.
I do, of course, because it's my last name.
It is!
Imperator!
Imperator is a good example of that agentive suffix.
This is an episode about my family.
Yes.
Specifically about my dad.
All right, Stephen, come on out. So that suffix tor has descendants in all of the Latin-based languages. It came through French as EOR, through Middle English as OUR, and then to Modern English as OR. That's where we get the OR suffix. A good demonstration of that is the English commodore, which ultimately comes from the Old French commendator.
Yeah.
So there's that suffix to the new suffix. But the Portuguese and Spanish iterations of that suffix are both dor, D-O-R, which sometimes when we borrow it, we add an E on the end, just based on how we spell our vowel sounds.
That's really interesting. And probably the influence of the fact that when we're taking those words, English and like Spanish and Portuguese we're mixing a lot because of that trade, that commerce, right?
Yes. Yeah. And we might talk about some other door words later on in the game.
Oh, okay. Fantastic.
But for now, let's get back to Stevedore. So most often, stevedore is a noun referring to a dock worker who loads and unloads cargo. Over time, that has meant anything from like physically carrying to operating pre-industrial cranes that are just like mechanically powered to operating like engine powered cranes, steam engines or gas engines or whatever.
I'm picturing Flintstone style cranes.
I mean, at one point, kinda.
They had dinosaurs?
Dinosaurs.
Stevedores are awesome!
Stevosaurs.
That's what they operated.
Yeah. No, but like somebody today that operates the cranes that loads, a giant ship. That is also what
yes,
this guy is.
Yeah.
I have a quote here from sailor and novelist Frank Thomas Bullen, who in the late 1800s wrote numerous books about his time on the high seas, late 1800s, early 1900s. In one such book, The Log of the Sea Waif, being reflections of the first 4 years of my sea life, Bullen writes, quote, "A fine fleet of ships lay here, all loading cotton for Liverpool, nor in spite of the number of vessels was there any delay in commencing our cargo, for the next day after mooring, a gang of stevedores came on board and set to work with characteristic American energy to prepare the hold."
Oh, I love the kind of buoyancy that stevedores carry with them. I'm picturing like a group of acrobatic artists, trapeze artists coming in, whip, whip, whip.
But they're all whistling like Yankee
around.
Doodle. Yeah. Stevedore can also be used as a verb to mean to do the work of a stevedore. As a reference for that, this word appeared regularly in the annual reports of the board of directors of the Panama Railroad Company to the stockholders.
Okay.
The title.
I mean, very specific, but makes sense that they would be using that word.
Somebody's got to report it, you know? Those were released annually from the late 19th through mid 20th century, and each report had a section on harbor terminal operations, I guess referring to a harbor that the Panama Railroad meets. That section includes, among other things, statistics for tons of cargo stevedored, revenue per ton stevedored, and cost per ton stevedored.
I love that use. That's a very practical, like, job use, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you can see how that term would, like, easily become a verb in the workplace, you know?
Yeah, because it very succinctly describes the loading and unloading of cargo. Like, you can describe, like, a ton of cargo either loaded or unloaded in a single word. You could say stevedored.
Right, stevedored. And everybody involved in the industry would know exactly what you mean.
Yep.
I love that. It's like dock working jargon.
It's
good. Yeah.
Speaking of cost, the noun stevedoring or stevedorage is sometimes used to refer to the cost paid for a stevedore's work as, like, you know, like one of the fees involved in shipping. I have a quote here from the 19th century from an article in the London newspaper, the Pall Mall Gazette. In a section of the Gazette titled City Notes, the writer is discussing the cost of shipping through the Manchester Ship Canal and writes, quote, 4 or 5 shillings without any freight or tonnage or pilotage or stevedoring or master porterage or craneage or terminal charges of any sort is simply prohibitive.
Wow. I mean, it's incredible that we're still dealing with the same issues today.
You got it.
That's like tariffs now, you know?
Literally. And I feel like anytime I've done an episode dealing with nautical things, I've immediately found an article of somebody complaining about
the cost
how the
shipping.
This is why pirates were a thing. Yeah. This is literally
this is why pirates were a
thing. To do it right was so expensive for no reason.
This is why Amazon Prime is either a really great thing, or they're just kind of pulling the wool over our eyes so that we don't feel like we're spending as much on shipping, you know?
Yeah.
But really, it's all hidden in the hidden stevedorage fees.
Yes. Well, I will say stevedorage is an important fee to pay, because that's real people doing real work.
Of course. As opposed to Amazon workers.
Okay, that's not what I meant.
I meant
when people say, like,
clarifying.
You know, some of those fees are just lying in somebody's pocket, you know.
Yeah, no, of course.
Stevedore is not the only word for someone who does this kind of work. Kyle, this might be a long shot, but do you know any other terms for, like, a dock worker?
I do. We talked about on the episode about, oh God, what was that word? It was my word, and I've already forgotten what it was.
Wow.
It was about the weird bottles with the balls in them.
Oh, codswallop.
Thank you.
We talked about dock workers?
We talked about dock workers because a walloper is a dock worker.
Oh, that's fun.
And
I forgot about
and
that.
a cod walloper was like a fish dock worker.
Yeah. A fish dock, like a anthropomorphic fish that is a dock worker.
Mean. I mean, if you look at the 1800s illustrations, you can see it's just like a pair of man legs with a herring for a body.
Horrifying.
Standing on a dock, and their fees were not exorbitant.
Some of these other words, they seem to just be sort of like regional terms for the same thing for someone that unloads and loads cargo. In Britain and Ireland, they tend to use the word docker.
As in, like, where we get the shoe company brand from?
Probably.
Right?
It,
Probably
truly
like
must be.
dock worker shoes were dockers.
Yeah, gotta be. There was actually an earlier term, dockman or dockman, but that usage has been much more limited. I think docker is the common one.
Sure.
In Australia and New Zealand, alongside stevedore, they use the colloquial term wharfie, WHARF, as in wharf.
I love that.
Yeah. In the United States, we very often use the term longshoreman. Have you ever heard this word?
Oh, only because of the dictionary that I come across every now and then. And I'm like, why is this called? No, that's the Longman's dictionary. Never
Hilarious. So longshoreman, I had, before researching this episode, heard that word, and I never knew what it meant. But now, knowing the etymology, I think I was overthinking it. A longshoreman, get this, Kyle, is a man who works along the shore.
Oh, the shore isn't long. He's working along it.
He's working along it. It's
that makes a lot
the
of
initial
sense.
Unstressed A must have got dropped along the way somewhere. It's a longshoreman.
If you say a longshoreman, it's going to go away
you'd
pretty
say
soon.
and a longshoreman, but yes.
Yeah, but if you're not and you're dumb like me, then it's going to go away.
Yeah. Colloquially, longshoreman and stevedore have often been used synonymously to just mean someone who loads and unloads cargo. But I've come across a couple of different distinctions. Some people outline the difference as a longshoreman is employed from the dock and works on the dock, while a stevedore is employed by a ship and works on that ship.
Is that historically that you see that separation sometimes, or is that like scholarly?
It was hard to tell.
Okay.
Because I think more often a longshoreman is a dock worker who loads and unloads cargo, while a stevedore is a person or company who hires and oversees longshoremen.
Oh, right. I forgot that you said that was one of the definitions.
Yes. And that, like, in contemporary American usage, that is very often the distinction, that, like, a stevedore hires a longshoreman.
So how did that come to mean the person who hires the stevedore instead of the stevedore?
I don't know how that evolution occurred.
I mean, it may just be like just natural language evolution, you know?
Yeah.
I wonder if there were stevedores who became business owners, like shipping business owners.
Oh, that's a good theory. That is a very good theory. I have a quote here from a 1970 article in the American Bar Association Journal titled "The Stevedore, Hope for Rescue" by maritime lawyer Rodney Layton Mank. The paper is discussing a very complicated but contentious piece of maritime law that I won't get into, but it directly concerns stevedores and longshoremen.
Is it the Arrested Development law that if you're on the water, it's a different jurisdiction? It's legal if you're on the water. International waters, that's what it is. If you're in international waters.
I don't think that's from Arrested Development, Kyle.
Yeah, they developed that. They came up with it. It's kind of great that they created their own laws on that show. And it's great.
Yeah. Anyway, in a footnote at the beginning of that paper, Mank defines these terms as I just did. He says, quote, "The term stevedore commonly refers to the contractor who employs longshoremen who physically load and unload ship's cargo."
When was that paper written?
1970.
1970. Oh, okay. Yes. So, like, by the 70s, legally, there's a distinction.
Yes. And I would say by the 20th century, based on what I was coming across.
Sure. Yeah.
Longshoremen historically were day laborers. They had no job until they got one that morning every day through what was called the shape up or shaping up. Essentially, all the longshoremen in town would show up at the docks in the wee hours of the morning, and then a hiring boss who was either from a stevedore company or from the longshoremen's union would dole out what jobs were available that day. And if you didn't get picked, you were just out of luck.
So does this come from, I've got a lot of questions that you may not be able to answer. Is shape here meaning ship?
No, I think there was the term shape up, like, form up or get yourself in the right position was pre-existing this.
Well, because I'm thinking of ship shape, and I'm wondering if it's actually reduplicative, just meaning ship, but maybe that's just a bridge too far.
So ship shape probably derives from the term like being in shape, like being correct, being in the correct shape. On a ship, there's such limited space that everybody's stuff needed to be very neat and tidy because there's just no room for mess. So ship shape means very neat and tidy.
Gotcha. And so the shape up here is kind of like the ship shape for people.
Kind of, yes.
Right? It's like, all right, we're going to get all our people in order.
Yes.
We don't got enough room for you on the boat.
Yes. There was all sorts of corruption baked into this shape up
of course
process.
There was. Stevedore nepotism.
Yes. And also like there were like hiring clubs where you basically like you paid into the hiring club and that would guarantee you work. You'd like show up at the hiring club before you went to the shape up and like agree that like, okay, you're going to get the job today. You're going to go to the shape up pretending like you don't know if you're going to get picked, but like we've prearranged that you're going to get picked.
I guess, I don't know if I'd call that corruption. That feels just like a union to me.
Well, no, because this was very often this was mob bosses organizing work and giving kickbacks to the stevedores and the unions in order to get away with doing whatever they were doing.
There's a lot of overlap between unions and the mob. Let's be honest.
Yep. And this was definitely an industry where that was the case. Yeah. So that system, the shape up, lasted well into the 20th century, longer on the East Coast. The West Coast started to reform a little bit sooner. In the 1930s, they like formed a separate union on the West Coast, and that was like meant to be like, we're going to do this better. We're going to do this fresh start, no corruption. And then the East Coast started to get a lot of industry reform around like the 1950s and 60s.
Sure.
Today's longshore unions are much more reputable institutions. The two major U.S. unions are on the West Coast, Hawaii, Alaska, the International Longshore and Warehouse Union, or ILWU, and on the East Coast, Gulf Coast, and the Great Lakes, it is the International Longshoremen's Association, or ILA. Listeners might be familiar with the ILA from the U.S. port strike in October 2024. This was a case where the vocabulary was important because the ILA longshoremen were on strike, which is why shipping either stopped or became infinitely more complicated. But stevedores were continuing to work by hiring non-union labor, which is why shipping was continuing to happen at all.
This now, I understand tariffs. All of a sudden, it's all making sense to me.
It's all clicked into place.
That is great. Thank you. That is, love that.
It's crazy because shipping it touches every corner of our lives.
It's crazy because it feels like such an old world business. I feel like when you think of shipping, you think of giant sailing ships. Yeah. You don't think of like the massive cargo ships that we use today. But it's like literally how we get anything from anywhere.
Yes.
And like even when there was that like Suez Canal. Yeah. It wasn't Suez. That canal, was it the Suez Canal?
That was like blocked?
That was blocked, right? Yeah, and that was like just blocked for like weeks, and we were like, literally
can't do nothing.
You're gonna get nothing.
Yeah.
Wow,
and like like longshoreman and stevedore sound like old timey words that make you think of like the 1800s, but no, they're still still the words that we use for the people that do this.
I truly had no idea that longshoreman was still in use, and certainly not stevedore. So
I would say longshoreman more than stevedore, but stevedore is still used, and it does, despite the fact that like it technically often means like the person hiring dock workers. Stevedore does still like carry the image of like a dockside manual laborer because that's what it originally meant, especially in colloquial use. You sometimes see it used interchangeably with longshoremen, or you sometimes see it used like in simile with like the traits that are associated with a dock worker. So you might come across someone being described as built like a stevedore or having the biceps of a stevedore because they look like they load cargo all day.
That's really good.
Yeah. Dock workers kind of carry similar stereotypes to sailors. So you might also come across phrases like stumbling like a drunken stevedore or swearing like a stevedore instead of swearing like a sailor.
That's so good. I love that.
And it maintains the alliteration too.
Yeah, stumbling like a stevedore is better than stumbling like
a sailor.
Sailor. Yeah. That's so good. I love that, Em.
If you're into knot tying, you might have come across a stevedore knot. It's a kind of stopper knot. It creates like a fixed point in the rope that's too thick to slip through a gap. So you use it to make sure the rope doesn't slip.
Did stevedores use that for shipping?
And there's like stevedore knotting is sometimes used to mean like tying up cargo or tying down cargo to make sure it doesn't move around. But even if you haven't come across this word before, you have most certainly benefited from this profession. The vast majority of objects you have ever engaged with were shipped and thus handled by a stevedore.
A stevedore.
And that is what I've got on stevedores. Kyle, what I would love right now, before we play a game, is for you to use this word in a sentence.
Oh, this is so good. This is so good. Although my dad, Steve, is built like a stevedore because he's always moving things around, big appliances, the appliances that he gets have more than likely been sent to him by longshoremen and stevedores who oversaw them.
You got it, Kyle. 10 out of 10. 2 out of 2 uses of the word.
2 out of 2.
Great.
And 100 out of 100 uses of my dad. Love you, Steve. Love you, Dad. I don't call him Steve. Hey, Dad.
Kyle.
All right. Yeah, give me a game.
I got a game. Today's game is called Looking Out My Back Door. D-O-R.
Oh my God.
So earlier we talked about the agentive suffix door. That suffix shows up in a few other English words, specifically from Spanish or Portuguese. I'll just note now, because battledore doesn't come from Spanish or Portuguese, that comes from Provençal French, and the batter part means to beat because it was a paddle, so you'd use it to beat. So
okay.
It's a beater. Yep.
Okay, that makes sense.
But here's how the game's going to work, Kyle. I'm going to give you the translation of a verb. I want you to tell me the agent noun that's made from that verb, and they all end in door.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So you got it. We'll start with an easy one. What word, borrowed from Spanish, derives from a verb meaning to conquer?
Conquistador.
Conquistador, absolutely. From conquistar, meaning to conquer.
That's a good word. We should use it more often.
Sure.
How could we use it?
Yeah, I was going to say, use that in a sentence right now.
I was a conquistador of today's Wordle. I wasn't, really, but you could use it that way.
Sure. All right, Kyle, next one. What word, also borrowed from Spanish, derives from a verb meaning to fight a bull? And I think you know it.
That's toreador.
It is from torear, meaning to fight a bull, from toro, meaning bull.
From toro, meaning bull.
Yeah.
And I mostly know it from Carmen, the opera.
Yep. I think most people might think, instead of the word toreador, the more common matador, which also means bullfighter. But that derives from the Spanish verb matar, meaning to kill or butcher.
Oh, that one's
which I guess
something else.
It never occurred to me what the bullfighter's end game was, but I guess.
Yeah. Oof.
But that's what a matador means, a slaughterer.
That's rough, but good to know.
The words get less obvious from here, but more fun.
Lay 'em on me.
This word journeyed from a Portuguese surname to a Canadian place name to a common animal name, but it ultimately derives from a verb meaning to work.
Is it Labrador?
It is, Kyle!
Wow.
Yeah. So Labrador Retriever comes from the Labrador Peninsula of Canada, where the breed was developed.
What?
It's and when you see Labrador Retriever, the L is capitalized because it comes from that place name. It's an eponym.
It is. Yeah. I never could. Wow.
Yes. The peninsula is named for the Portuguese explorer that, I guess, colonized it.
Oh.
João Fernandes Lavrador. His surname comes from the Portuguese word lavrador, which means landowner or farmer, but it comes from the Latin verb labor, meaning work.
Wow.
Yep.
Incredible. That's so good.
Last one, Kyle. This word, English got from Italian via French, but it has cognates in Spanish and Portuguese. And in all cases, it derives from verbs meaning to run. So this one you might be able to get if you know the Spanish for to run or the Italian for to run.
Is it corridor?
It is corridor.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy because it's just so long that you can run down it.
Well, so it comes from the Italian, our word corridor comes from the Italian correre and the Spanish or Portuguese correr, in the same way that like a runner can refer to like a long strip of carpet or some other long thing. The word for a long hallway is the thing that runs.
Wow.
It just runs down the house.
That's fascinating. I love that.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. Emily, what a great lesson on door words.
Yeah, including Stevedore.
Including Stevedore, and a lesson on shipping internationally.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah, I love that. Emily, you're so nimble at working the suffix and prefix etymology into the meaning of the word and why we use that and how it applies to other words in the English language. I always feel like I'm more able to create words at the end of one of your episodes. So thanks for that.
buddy.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, and thank you for this episode. Lovely job. Remember that you can watch us on YouTube at Butter No Parsnips, and you can find Butter No Parsnips on other social media as well, on Facebook and Instagram at Butter No Parsnips Podcast, and on TikTok at Butter No Parsnips. And if you liked today's episode, consider giving us a 5-star rating or review wherever you heard us.
And if you really liked today's episode, consider donating to our Patreon at patreon.com/butternoparsnips. Donating $5 or more gets you exclusive access to Buttered Parsnips, our After Hours podcast.
Thanks so much to all of you. You help us make what we make.
And with that, I've been Emily Moyers.
And I've been Kyle Imperator, and this has been Butter No Parsnips.
Butter No Parsnips is produced by Seth Glicksman, Kyle Imperator, and myself, Emily Moyers. The main and accompanying themes were composed by Kyle Imperator.